They have released one every year from then till now, and now have raised over $1 million for the Red Charity. We could not be more excited to welcome our friend, a holiday tradition, Brandon Flowers from the Killers, back on the phone here on the Kevin Bean Show. Hey, Brandon.
Hello.
Happy holidays to you, my friend.
You too.
How about, speaking of you two, Bono comes to you 10 years ago and gets you involved in the Red Charity. How did it all start for your band with this annual tradition?
I remember pretty clearly. I was in the Bellagio here in Las Vegas, and I got a phone call, and I knew somebody had told me that he was going to call me, but we didn't know exactly when. And he called me on the cell phone, and I picked up, and I could barely hear him because of the noise in the casino and the slot machines, and it was so frustrating because I didn't want to tell him to call me back later, so I'm running to get to the mall. So there's a mall in the Bellagio, so I could get away from the noise.
Right.
And then I finally made it, and he asked if it was the beginning of the Red campaign, and he asked if we would be interested in doing a Gap. The Gap was getting involved, and they were going to do these billboards with singers and actors and things like that on it. And I just didn't feel great about doing that at the time, but I said, how about we start to, do a Christmas song, and we'll give all the proceeds to the campaign. And then it became a tradition. And now we got a full album, and it's just...
Yeah.
So basically you said to Bono, that's a good idea, but I've got a better one.
I was pretty I was different. I was a different person back in 2005.
So yeah, you mentioned it's an album now. You can get all 11 songs. They're streaming through Apple Music. You can buy them on iTunes with the proceeds going to the Red Charity, which, by the way, fights AIDS in the continent of Africa, if I remember correctly. And it's called Don't Waste Your Wishes, and it's all 11 of the Killers' Christmas songs. And I may have asked you this in previous years, Brandon, but when it starts to be, July, August, September, do you start to feel the pressure of, oh my God, we have to come up with another Christmas song for this season?
Yeah, that's exactly why we are finished.
This is the end.
So this is it.
Yeah, this is it. I'm so happy that we were able to do a whole album, and it really was a lot of fun. But it creeps up on you, like you said. July, August rolls around, and it's just there. It's always there, and I can't just do something halfway. So it becomes this full production and making videos, and it takes a lot of time, but we still got a lot done.
Yeah, no, you certainly did. And as I mentioned when we brought you on, you've raised over $1 million for a great charity, and you had the opportunity to collaborate with some people that I'm sure you admire so much, like Elton John and Richard Dreyfuss, the Pet Shop Boys, and of course the great Jimmy Kimmel, right?
That's right. We got Jimmy shows. Jimmy used to do a Christmas album every year, right?
Yeah.
And we did Joel the Lump of Coal, and that came together really quickly. It was like he's got a real knack for it.
Oh yeah, no, he really does. Look, Jimmy worked on this show, as you may remember, Brandon. He was our sports guy for 5 years and did a lot of stuff behind the scenes. And every year we'd put together a Kevin and Bean Christmas album that we'd sell for charity. And Jimmy was the brains behind that in the years that he was with us. He's a genius. Well, let's talk about this year's offering. It's I'll Be Home for Christmas. This is the first time you haven't done an original song, right? You went to the standard, but there was a reason for it. You had a special connection to this song because of an old teacher of yours, Mr. Hansen. Tell us about him.
My family moved out of Vegas when I was 9, and we moved to this really small town in Utah. And I guess this teacher just left a real impression on me. He had fought in the Korean War, and he explained to us the meaning of All Be Home for Christmas one day. So it was really touching. He explained it, and then he sang it a cappella to the class.
Oh.
And it had a profound impact on me. I think about it all the time, and I wanted to do this for the second offering from the Killers. So I wanted to do this about 9 years ago, and I couldn't get through to Mr. Hansen, and somehow I found him this year, and it all came together, and he's 86 years old, and it was just such a great, kind of full circle thing for the Christmas album, I think.
All right, well, let me pick it up from there because you mentioned Mr. Hansen, who's still alive and well, is 86 years old. Here's how your track with him starts off, with him singing a cappella. And Allie, I'm warning you now.
I'm already crying.
Get the tissues out. You're going to melt here.
I'll be home for Christmas. You can count on me.
So he does his part, then you get into the second verse, and the Killers join in.
I'll be home for Christmas. You can count on me.
surprised to hear from you and to hear you tell him that you wanted him to go into a studio and record this for you to release, Brandon?
Yeah, and he was sharp. He's still sharp, and you know, he went back. I started the year late, so I wasn't in the yearbook, and he went back and couldn't find me in the yearbook. So he's wondering. And then he remembered I lived in the house that his grandpa built in the 1800s. That's the house that my family
Come on.
Wow, because I was going to ask you if he remembered even who you are.
And he remembered that, and I could not believe it. And so he does, you know, they do remember you, these teachers. and he felt, and I know he felt really. I think it made him feel really good that I remembered him and this thing that he did, and so it was just a whole warm fuzzy thing.
Yeah, it really is. It's such a sweet, sweet moment, and it's a wonderful way to close out the album. Again, it's available streaming and for download on iTunes. Don't Waste Your Wishes is what the collection goes by, with the proceeds going to the Red Charity. Would there be a lot of people that you went to high school with, Brandon, that would have pegged you as somebody who would have gone on to have a successful music career? Was it pretty obvious back then that that was going to be your path?
No.
Not even a few?
No. I mean, I wore my Depeche Mode shirts and my Morrissey, you know, concert shirts and things like that to school, but I didn't do anything, you know, I wasn't in theater, and I wasn't in the band, and I wasn't in any of that stuff. So it sort of came later. I was a late bloomer. It wasn't until I was 19 that I met a couple of people at a golf course that I worked at that were sort of eccentric and had wild hair, and they had these ideas that they could make short films and start a band, and I just thought, these people are crazy, and that really opened the door for me.
How about that?
Can you imagine if you were a high schooler and somebody told you, yeah, Bono was going to call you, the guy from U2, and he's going to ask you to help out with his charity.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, it's been a wonderful career, and I hope there's many, many, many years of Killers still ahead. Before we get you off the phone, with our thanks for the call today, Brandon Flowers, what is next for the Killers? What do you got for 2017? Because I feel like it's been a minute.
It has been, and we will definitely have a record in 2017.
Fantastic.
Would you say spring?
Like
I
in
would
time to
say
play a
more-
weenie roast, maybe?
Summer.
Summer, like
okay,
maybe
okay.
in time to play a big show for KROQ, maybe around May?
Yeah, that could be fun.
Okay,
Mark
all
it,
right.
write it down.
When you get a yes, you hang up. That's what we've learned. Brandon Flowers from the Killers. Go to Apple and get and listen to all that great Christmas music. And congratulations on the success of the project throughout the years, Brandon. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Happy holidays.
Thank you guys. You too.
It's almost Christmas.
The sold out